The ghost of 1929 is a chilling reminder of how fast prosperity can turn to ruin and how speculation, systemic weakness and terrible policy can create a perfect storm. So, to really get the scale of the danger we face today, we have to go back to the day the world broke, the 1920s. A lot like our recent past, where a time of wild optimism, the roaring 20s were just used by new tech, easy credit and belief that the stock market was a one-way ticket to riches. Ordinary people armed with borrowed money piled into the market, buying stocks on margin. In a frenzy of speculation, the market became a national obsession totally detached from the real economy. Thus came Black Tuesday. On October 29, 1929, the illusion shattered, panic selling triggered a collapse that vaporized billions in wealth almost overnight. But the crash wasn't the whole story, it was just a spark that lit a tinderbox of economic vulnerabilities. The banking system, which had invested heavily in the bubble, was a house of cards. As the market imploded, a wave of bank failures swept the nation. Between 1929 and 1933, over 9,000 banks in the United States, more than a third of the nation's total, vanished, taking the life savings of millions with them. Consumer confidence evaporated, people stopped spending, businesses failed, and a vicious cycle of layoffs began. At its peak, unemployment in the US hit a staggering 25%. 1 in 4 working age adults had no job. Industrial production fell by nearly half from 1929 to 1933. The US economy effectively shrank by 30%. People lost their homes, their farms, and their dignity. Breadlines and shantytowns nicknamed Hoover Wheels became a defining image of the American landscape. What turned a bad recession into a Great Depression were disastrous policy moves. Instead of stimulating the economy, the government tightened its belt. And crucially, in 1930, the United States passed the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act, a protectionist bomb that jacked up taxes on imported goods. The idea was to protect American industry, but the result was a global trade war. Other countries hit back with their own tariffs and international trade collapsed, falling by more than 50%. This act of economic self-destruction choked global commerce and pushed the world into a deflationary death spiral that took over a decade to escape. The ghost of 1929 is a chilling reminder of how fast prosperity can turn to ruin and how speculation, systemic weakness and terrible policy can create a perfect storm.